welcome to Sports Update with Kate. I am your host, Kate Adams, and we have a very special guest today, former LSU tight end, Colin Jeter. Thank you so much for being here, Colin.
Oh, yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited about the show.
Of course, of course. All right, Colin, if you could tell me a little bit about your path after LSU football and kind of what you are up to these days.
Yeah, okay, so after my senior year in 2016, I was signed as a free agent to Indianapolis Colts. Unfortunately, Jones fracture led to injury settlement in preseason camp. Came back, signed with the Bucks. Concussion led to another injury settlement. So still training right now at the LSU facility and signed up for the new Alliance of American Football League. I'm going to be playing in Memphis. So looking forward to that.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on that. We all know that football is a very tough sport to play professionally in. So just where you're at right now is completely awesome. All right. I want to start off as a former LSU player. LSU, it was just announced this past Sunday that they will be in the Fiesta Bowl against UCF. What were your thoughts on LSU getting placed in the Fiesta Bowl?
I thought it was huge this year, honestly. I mean, for a team that everyone predicted to go 6-6 at best this year, and for those guys to really rally together and win some big-time games, I think it's huge, and it's a great payoff for them, and I'm excited to watch them in Arizona.
I'm really excited too, but there was a lot of speculation. Some people thought, well, maybe they should go to the Peach Bowl and play Michigan, or maybe even go to the Sugar Bowl. I mean, first of all, like you said, all right, a lot of people didn't even think they were going to go past 6-6 right now. They're 9-3 for the season. They have a chance to win 10 games in the season with the addition of this bowl game. I mean, how important was it for LSU to get picked for a New Year's Six Bowl?
I think it's huge. Anytime you can have a 10-win season, I think that's big. Not a lot of teams can say that, and especially a year like this year, what people thought was more of a rebuilding year. But obviously we haven't done a New Year's Six in a long time, since I think the national championship game, right? So anytime you can do that, I think it's great for recruiting, and it's great for just building on the next year.
Okay, UCF will be without their quarterback. How big of a factor do you think that's going to play in for this bowl game?
I think it's a big deal. Obviously, when you have a starting quarterback, that's your guy, and that's who you roll with. And unfortunately, he got hurt, I think, 2 games ago now. But UCF's still going to be fired up. They're going to be a great team, but we're just going to have to do what we can do to win. And obviously, it's going to be a tough matchup no matter what. UCF's no joke, but I think the Tigers can handle them pretty well.
Now, there is a big topic of discussion because UCF has been undefeated for 25 games. It's a huge accomplishment in college football right now, but they never can seem to make it to the top 4. Now, obviously, they are in a different conference. They're not in a major conference like LSU or Alabama or Clemson, but they still have this huge winning streak. Do you think that the college football playoffs should maybe do a 6-team playoff, or maybe do something similar to kind of how college basketball does? Or what do you like the way they have it set up right now?
You know, I'm with Mike Leach on this one. I think we should do I would even do a full 32-team playoff, and I know that sounds crazy, but we've drawn it up, and me and my college buddies have drawn it up, and we thought it was going to be pretty cool. But yeah, I think we should just go. I mean, every other division does it. NFL does a full playoff. Division II, Division III does a full playoff. So I just don't know why we wouldn't do that. But for UCF, I just think, number one, the big question mark with the quarterback being hurt, that may have had an effect on the committee. And when you just don't play as strong of a schedule as, say, an SEC team, and there's just a lot of question marks. Now, obviously, they beat Auburn last year in the Peach Bowl, right? Mm-hmm. And they can ride off that and call themselves the national champions. But I just think a UCF team in the SEC, especially in the SEC West, doesn't finish nearly as high as undefeated. Maybe a few losses here and there.
I mean, a lot of people are saying, well, it's because they kind of have a cupcake type schedule. And look, they are in the American Athletic Conference. That conference really isn't known to have these big matchups. You know, it's not like an LSU, Bama, or Clemson. You know, it's none of those schools. Do you think that there's a way that they could maybe add bigger teams to their schedule to kind of help them out with their strength of schedule?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I think if you're a team who's always upset at the end of the year over not being put in the playoff, then play some big matchups at the beginning of the year. I mean, you only have to play so many conference games. You obviously have a few games here and there that you can maybe throw a big top 10 matchup team in there. I just think you can't really have the excuse of not getting in the playoff when you don't play anybody.
I mean, look, I was looking at what they were ranked as far as their strength of schedule goes. This past year, they were 104th in their strength of schedule. So when they do go undefeated, I mean, you're not playing that crazy of teams. I mean, it does make a factor, right? When you're kind of playing as easier teams, I guess, as opposed to LSU, who played Miami, Texas A&M, Bama. I mean, I think they played 6 top 25 opponents so far. LSU did this past season. I mean, when you compare the two.
Yeah, it's a whole different world. Like I said, you got to play somebody to want to be the national champion. That's just like last year when they claimed the title. I mean, you can't really count it. Sure, you went undefeated and you beat an SEC team in the bowl game, but look, go hop in the West and see how you do.
Okay, well, so Greedy Williams did officially announce on Twitter that he would be entering the 2019 NFL Draft. He actually announced it before telling Coach O, because in the press conference with Coach O, they said, well, what do you think about Greedy, entering the draft? And he was like, it came as a shock to him because he didn't really quite know that Greedy hadn't discussed yet with Coach O. I think that they were scheduled to have a meeting. But is that a big factor, since he now will, probably go sign with an agent and try to get drafted? Is that a big thing to not tell your coach first and tell the rest of the world?
Yeah, obviously. I think, man, when a coach offers you a full-time scholarship to come play, then, you at least own the respect to tell him before you go. I think that's one of the last things you should do, and especially a head coach like Coach O. I mean, he's a big-time players coach, and I just think you owe him that respect, and certainly should tell him before going off to future things.
Obviously, Coach O was really classy about it. He just said, we wish you the best, this and that. But Greedy Williams will sit out for this Fiesta Bowl. Christian Fulton also is going to be out. He has an ankle injury right now. He may enter the draft, but I think with the ankle injury, it's going to take about a 2 to 3 month recovery. But Devin White did announce it and said that he would play. Now, we all know that Devin White's probably going to be a first-round pick. My point of view is, if he is going to the NFL, which I really hope he is since he's a first-round pick, is that Devin White, he loves Louisiana and he loves LSU, and I think as part of kind of his ode to LSU, he feels like he owes it to them to play in this bowl game. But as far as Greedy goes, what is your position for players that are probably going to enter the NFL draft and they want to pursue their career in the NFL for sitting out for bowl games?
Yeah, first of all, I'd just like to say that I've never been a first-round draft pick, so I can't really put myself in those shoes. I know Leonard did it, obviously, my senior year, and he's had a phenomenal career so far. But, I understand it. I understand not playing, obviously, for the risk of injury, but I also know that when you're done with college, you're done with college. And I'd do anything to go back and play with the Tigers just one more game, and I think a lot of guys would say that. I know I've talked to Jamal Adams. We met when LSU played BYU in the Houston move. And we just talked about how much we miss it and how special of a place this is. So if it was me, obviously I would want to play. But like I said, I'm not a first-round draft pick. I can't put myself in those shoes. So I just wish the best for Greedy, and I hope he's happy with his decision.
I wish the best for Greedy, too. I mean, my personal opinion probably would be, if you need to sit out and you're trying to pursue your career in the NFL, then maybe it really is the best decision for you. If you're an LSU fan, then obviously you might get a little butthurt by it because you're like, oh, well, I feel like they should play. But when you look at the big picture, really, it's kind of like, well, they are trying to pursue their career. They've got to do what's best for them, I think, at the end of the day. And I don't really disagree with guys like Greedy sitting out. We've got a lot of great stuff coming up for the rest of the show. We're going to talk some more about the bowl game. We're going to talk some Saints. We'll also talk about some just other really interesting topics going on right now in the football world. Urban Meyer retiring, the Kareem Hunt story. So stay with us. We are here at Scoreboards, 10655 Coursey Boulevard. They've got TVs everywhere, literally in every corner. So if you've got to come here to watch the game, this is the place to be. Great tailgate food. We've got to take a quick break, but we will be right back.
Your dad gave me his baby to go pick up your brother from the airport.
Oh, honey, just take Mom's car. She just had navigation installed.
I totally got this. We were just there.
Hey, isn't that...
Yep. I programmed the airport in, just in case.
You don't need a new car to have new technology. Mike's Audio, conveniently located on Airline Highway near the corner of Bluebonnet.
Are you ready for this year's formal events? Weddings, homecoming, Mardi Gras, prom, pageants. Debbie's Bridal is having an inventory blowout sale. Don't be left out. Prices range from 20% off to 80% off. happening now. Debbie's Bridal, Burnside in Gonzales.
Hi folks, Clarence Buggs here. Coach Roger Cador would take the time to tell you how to catch our brand new show, The Roger Cador Show, but as you can see, he's kind of busy right now out at Scoreboards, Baton Rouge's newest sports grill with food that is absolutely amazing. Catch the show 8 o'clock Tuesday nights, 6:30 p.m. on Wednesdays and on Pelican Television's YouTube channel as well. You want to come out and have a great time. It's awesome, isn't it, Coach? Mm-hmm. Told you.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Welcome back to Sports Update with Kate. I am your host, Kate Adams, and we have former LSU tight end Colin Jeter here with us. So thank you for being here, Colin.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, off air, we were actually just talking about something really interesting. We were kind of rehashing what we just had mentioned earlier about how Greedy Williams is going to sit out. And earlier we did both kind of give our point of view. Okay, well, if you are going to the NFL, you know, maybe it is best for your, as far as your career personally goes, to sit out. But then you said something really interesting. You said, well, if he was just going to sit out for the bowl game anyways, you know, maybe he could have sat out, you know, earlier in the season. And at what point do you think that you just draw the line and decide, okay, I'm kind of done with the season?
Yeah, that was the question. Just because, okay, if we think that the bowl game's not important because it's not the national championship, so maybe after the Bama game, when you know perhaps you're not getting in the playoff, why even play the last few games? And where's the line there? But I don't know. I guess that it's become normal for the bowl game just because some other guys have done it. I think the Bosa, is it Nick Bosa? Is that the younger brother's name?
Nick Brossette. Yeah.
Oh, no, Bosa for Ohio State.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
And he once he got hurt, he sat out the rest of the season. And I don't know. I guess he's done it a little different, but most guys, I think it's just normal for the bowl game. I don't know why that's the draw line, but I guess that's just what they roll with.
Well, when you said Bossette, I'm thinking Brossette because we're so stuck on this LSU topic.
Yeah, no
but
doubt.
no, I get it. I mean, it is a big question if you are going to sit out. And then I'm not going to lie, I'm not a big fan of how Greedy decided to tweet to the world before telling Coach O. I think he should have at least given Coach O the common courtesy. But I'm sure LSU is still going to be extremely supportive of his way to the NFL draft. They'll let him train. I mean, when you're getting prepared for something like that, and you said even now that you're at LSU doing some training for what you've got coming up in Memphis, is LSU pretty good about doing that, really supporting their players in that way, kind of giving them the platform in order to be successful?
Oh, absolutely. LSU's great with alumni. I mean, number one, Coach Moffitt and his weight room, those doors are always open for any alumni. And they even have a program for you, a pre-draft program, getting ready for that if you want to stay. A lot of guys, it's one of the sexy move to go off to like a MJP training or go to Arizona, wherever you want to go and train. And to me, it's a little overrated. And I think a lot of guys just do it for the T-shirt. But yeah, I don't know. Coach Moffitt's doors are open. Jack Marucci, shout out to the Marucci brand, but training staff's always there for you. I mean, they do so well with the players. I've been going for 2 years now, and they don't give me any sort of worry, and they just let me come in. So yeah, LSU's great about it, and couldn't be happier to go to a school like that.
Awesome. Well, no, we all love LSU a lot over here. Another thing I want to talk about Greedy is he is a finalist for the Thorpe Award, which goes to the nation's top defensive back. Now, they're going to have that award ceremony this Saturday night on December 8th. He's going up against some other guys. I'll have to probably take a look on my phone to see who he's going up against. But do you think he's kind of going to be one of the ones that we think might get this Thorpe Award?
I think so. I think Grady's had a phenomenal career, especially even last year. He's kind of coming out of nowhere and just playing really well. And I think he's going to be obviously a first-round draft pick, and I think so. I think Grady should win the award, and I think all the other LSU guys that are up for awards should win it.
Do you think there's anything that he particularly needs to work on or try to maybe do a little bit better while he is practicing and preparing going into the draft? I mean, he's had a pretty good season, but were there any things that you saw that maybe like, oh, he could be, I don't know, maybe a little bit faster here, do something differently?
I haven't watched enough film on Grady. I I do obviously watch the Tigers, and what I've seen, he plays well. You know, it's hard to watch just from TV. You can't really watch him like you can watch film. So I don't know. Obviously, the scouts think he's a first-round pick, and based on that, I think he's got to be pretty good at different things, and I'm sure he'll get feedback on what he should work on.
Well, he's definitely had an outstanding season. Another guy who also has had an outstanding season, Grant Delpit. He unfortunately did not get the award, and you might can say this better than me, the Nagurski, is that right?
Nagurski.
He did not get the Nagurski trophy. Josh Allen, Kentucky's outside linebacker, ended up getting that, but do you think, have you watched Josh Allen play? You know, is there any particular reason that you felt like he was more fit for that trophy instead of Grant Delpit?
Yeah, I've said there's a lot of hype around Josh Allen this year, and obviously he's a phenomenal player. I just haven't watched enough on Kentucky because obviously we didn't play Kentucky this year. That's one reason, but Kentucky had a phenomenal season. They exceeded a lot of expectations as well. But I just think a guy like Grant Delpit, because I played with maybe the best football player I've ever seen in person, Jamal Adams, and Grant's making 10 times the plays Jamal made. So obviously both guys are great players, but Grant's just got that ball hawk ability to him, and he seems like he's always around the ball. And I really thought he was going to win it this year, but who knows? I guess he can always come back next year and win it.
So do you think Delpit is in a position where he would declare for the draft yet, or he's still got another year at LSU?
Obviously, that's his decision. If I were him, I would love to see him stay one more year. Just he kind of came on the spot just this year, almost like Tyrann Mathieu. If he stayed that one more year, or if he would have stayed that one more year, obviously would have had a phenomenal season. But yeah, I think he should stay one more. Obviously, and part of that's just because I loved watching him at LSU. But either decision he makes, he's going to have a phenomenal career in the NFL, and I'll be more than happy to root for him.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned Jamal Adams and how you got to play with him. He really is one of the best in the league right now. But when we were interviewing Delpit and a few of the other players that are currently on this year's team, we asked some of the other players what they thought of Grant and who they maybe would compare him to. And almost every single one of them across the board said Jamal Adams. He reminds us just as much as Jamal Adams as he can be. And look, he's like you said, he's getting better numbers right now than Jamal did when they were his age. I mean, what similarities do you see between Jamal and Grant that you really like?
The biggest thing I think is just seeing the field. They're both field generals back there, and that was something Jamal was great at. Was just, I mean, he'd make plays. I know specifically, I'd watch film on the Louisville game, and he made plays all the way across the field, running the complete 53 and a half. And yeah, I think Grant's the same way. And Grant, obviously, he has better stats, and he's made maybe a little bit more plays, but they both just got that go-getter attitude to them, and they're phenomenal athletes and great football players.
I want to talk about Devin White some more. I know I had mentioned about him playing in the Fiesta Bowl, but did you get it? You didn't play with Devin White, huh?
I did.
You did play? Okay. So he really has proven himself to be a big leader on the team. We all know that he is very passionate about the state of Louisiana and also playing for LSU. I mean, what do you think that says about his character to, look, I'm going to play in the bowl game, even though we pretty much all know that he's going to go to the NFL draft?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think Devin's a lock-in for a top 5 pick. But, yeah, he shows great commitment to the state and to the school and to Coach O and his teammates. And I think that's a huge plus and shows a lot about him. And I'm very excited to see him play in the bowl game. And I couldn't be happier that he made a decision like that when, obviously, it seems like the move nowadays is to skip it, and he's sticking it out.
Have you met any other players that are really like Devin White, or is there a professional player that you might compare Devin White to?
I've played with a lot of great linebackers at LSU, from Quan Alexander, you got Kendall Beckwith, Duke Riley, Debo Jones, all those guys. And Devin's been a phenomenal player since he was a freshman. I remember when we played A&M his freshman year, he stripped a guy on a kickoff return, and just one of the wildest things I've ever seen. And he's always been a playmaker. Obviously, he's got the quickness and covers the field like very few people can do it. I would compare him to Debo. Obviously, he had more success earlier on than I think Debo did, but shoot, Debo's killing it for Atlanta right now, and I think Devin's got the ability to do the same thing.
What do you think Devin White's strategy is? Because I'm really crossing my fingers that he's going to play, admit to the NFL draft. And I mean, he's just got you at this point. But what do you think his strategy is? You think maybe after the bowl game, when he's in an interview, he may say, hey guys, I am going to the draft, or maybe send a little tweet or an Instagram. I mean, how do you think he's going to go about announcing it if he does?
Shoot, I don't know. He might ride his horse Daisy May into interview and tell us. I never thought I'd see a horse in Tiger Stadium, but I don't know. The trend these days seems to be the social media post or something like that, but I'm sure he'll find a creative way to do it.
Yeah, maybe LSU will do another thing with the horse, which when I saw that video, I thought that was wild. I mean, does that not mess up the field or anything? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's when all the home games are over, the field kind of, they let it go a little bit. But yeah, I never thought I'd see a horse riding around, and especially with a top linebacker on it in Tiger Stadium.
yeah, I didn't think so either. Maybe he might get something where he gets like a little horse blanket that says go into the 2019. Who knows? But I'm sure it'll be a big announcement and it'll be great if and when he does make that announcement. Okay, guys, we do need to take a quick break. We'll continue this bowl game talk. We'll talk some more NFL, some Saints Cowboys. We'll preview Saints at Tampa Bay, and then we'll look at some other things. We are here at Scoreboards, 10655 Coursey Boulevard. You've got to come here. They've literally got, I don't know, probably 30 or something TVs, just a million TVs. You can watch every sports game here, stay up to date on all the games that you want to watch, and they've got some really awesome tailgate food. We're here at 10655 Coursey Boulevard. Don't forget it. Come out and see us. We've got to take a quick break, but we will be right back.
Are you ready for this year's formal events? Weddings, homecoming, Mardi Gras, prom, pageants. Debbie's Bridal is having an inventory blowout sale. Don't be left out. Prices range from 20% off to 80% off. Happening now. Debbie's Bridal, Burnside in Gonzales.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Hi folks, Clarence Buggs here. Coach Roger Cador would take the time to tell you how to catch our brand new show, The Roger Cador Show, but as you can see, he's kind of busy right now out at Scoreboards, Baton Rouge's newest sports grill with food that is absolutely amazing. Catch the show 8 o'clock Tuesday nights, 6:30 p.m. on Wednesdays, and on Pelican Television's YouTube channel as well. You want to come out and have a great time. It's awesome, isn't it, Coach?
Mm-hmm.
Told you.
Look, your dad gave me his baby to go pick up your brother from the airport.
Oh, honey, just take Mom's car. She just had navigation installed.
I totally got this. We were just there.
Hey, isn't that...
Yep. I programmed the airport in, just in case.
You don't need a new car to have new technology. Mike's Audio, conveniently located on Airline Highway near the corner of Bluebonnet.
Welcome back to Sports Update with Kate. I'm your host, Kate Adams. Former LSU tight end Colin Jeter here with us. All right, Colin and I have been talking a lot about the bowl games, but there was also some bowl games this past weekend, or not bowl games, but championship games. So one game I do want to talk about is our arch rival, Alabama and Georgia. That was an incredible game. Georgia even had the lead on Bama for quite some time, and I kind of knew in my heart that Bama was gonna make it happen in some way, but I did not ever imagine that they would make it happen and get the win with Jalen Hurts coming in the final minutes of the game and getting the touchdown and winning. I mean, he has gone through so much, from being pulled out after that national championship when Tua made that incredible play, and sitting and being patient all season as Tua's backup when he's already been a national champion for Alabama. I mean, what do you think it really took for him to do that? I mean, I was proud of Jalen. I really was. And I think I told you this earlier, but what does it take for a player? Because most players would normally transfer or, do something else if they were put in Jalen's position. But he was like, to heck with it. I'm not going to transfer. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stay at Bama. And he did it with so much class. I mean, what do you think that says about Jalen as a player? And would you be able to do the same thing that he did?
Obviously, it says so much, and I know around here it's taboo to say you have respect for an Alabama player, but it really does. It says a lot about him, his family, how he's grown up, and his mental toughness. And I mean, when you think about, like you said, a guy that he comes in and starts as a freshman, and he's the next hot thing, and then a year later or 2 years later, you got Tua, who's one of the best quarterbacks I've seen at the college level, come in and take a spot, and him to stick it out. It's huge. Obviously, nowadays, it seems like any quarterback who doesn't get their way wants to transfer out and go somewhere else, but he stuck it out, and obviously it paid off. I mean, in that game, it seemed like towards the end of the game that no matter what you did, Jalen was going to find a way to score, and I think it's a phenomenal story. I can't wait to watch the 30 for 30 on him one day, and he's a phenomenal kid. And like I said, I told you earlier, I played with his older brother at junior college. I vary him was a lot of the ways the same way. He maybe didn't have the ability Jalen had, but that whole family, they're just tough players, and they love football, and they're just phenomenal people.
Okay, so what is next for Jalen, I guess? So he gets put in this game. Right now we did see that Tua does have an ankle injury, which was the reason that he got pulled out of the SEC championship. Now the ankle injury is probably going to have him out for another 2 to 3 weeks, so he'll most likely be able to play in the next game for Bama. But what do you think is next for Jalen? Does he stay with Bama? Does he, does he transfer? What does he do now in this situation?
I don't know. I feel like if he left now, then maybe it would be, people may not say as good things about him, but at the same time, he's got so much respect from the Alabama fans now that they'll love him no matter what. But I hope he sticks around. Honestly, I think it's nice for players to stick to who they committed to out of high school, and I think just more great things are coming his way. Who knows? Alabama always finds a crazy way to use different players, and they've used them throughout the year for different things. So I think he'll have a good career at Alabama if he sticks it out.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't know what my opinion is on that, because at one point I almost wanted Jalen to come to LSU if some crazy scenario happened and he could, because he is a really talented quarterback. And to see him just be the backup and sit there kind of hurts my heart a little bit. I'm like, well, look, you're so talented, you should be able to play. I mean, have you ever had to sit out or sit behind somebody and just kind of wait your turn? Or
that's what I've done my whole life, honestly. So I'm used to it. In high school, I had to wait my turn. Junior college was the only level I feel like I came in I could play. But even here, I showed up at LSU, and I was like the 5th or 6th tight end on the depth chart, and just kind of got to work your way up. I think a lot of people are so obsessed with freshmen coming in and playing immediately, and they just think it's a natural thing to happen if you're a top recruit. But a lot of guys take development, and I was more than happy to wait my turn, because I know if they'd have thrown me in as a sophomore when I first got here versus me a year later, I was 10 times a player, and I just think it's a good time for you to develop and grow, and I don't think waiting is always a bad thing.
So I guess it's just kind of a test of your patience, and then trying to really see if you can improve and then prove yourself after.
Yeah,
is that
absolutely.
kind of what it is?
Yeah, absolutely. I think once the coaches have confidence in you, then you're obviously going to play. And, just showing a little patience and putting the work in. I mean, no matter what, you got to kind of work at what you do, whether you're playing or not. And eventually, if you put enough work in, you're going to become a phenomenal player and get that starting job.
Well, obviously, when you have two guys, you've got a guy like Jalen, who is very talented, but then on the other hand, you've got Tua, who is up for the Heisman this year and who is probably the top in the nation. I mean, how do you think his chances are as far as winning the Heisman goes?
I think being hurt a few games has kind of hurt his chance. Obviously, he's still, I think where they just flipped, Kyler is the favorite, but he's still up there. When he played us, I mean, that's the best quarterback play I've seen out of a college kid. He made plays that just sometimes you think most quarterbacks would either throw away or they'd take a sack, and he always found a way to complete a ball or run for a touchdown or do something. I mean, he's a great player. Obviously, sucks that he plays for the team in red, but happy for him. Always happy to see a guy succeed, and obviously he's done that.
Would you say that he is one of the best you've ever seen as quarterback at his age?
Absolutely, especially because he's only a true sophomore this year, right? Yeah, he's a 19-year-old kid out there doing what he's doing. I mean, that's kind of unheard of, and he's really good. He's a really good football player.
Now, he does have a little brother, and Braden Fehoko made a joke that, hey, we're going to get his little brother. Like, I think that he said he went up to Tua after the LSU Bama and was like, don't worry, Tua, we're getting your brother. But Nick Saban has actually done a whole lot for Tua and his family. I'm pretty sure he may have provided some financial help as far as getting his family jobs and settled and that sort of thing. So do you think that we even have a chance at getting his brother?
I don't know. It'd be great to see him flip from Alabama, and obviously, as a guy who's been through college and you see what the success that Alabama's had, you would understand for a guy wanting to go there. But at the same time, you kind of think, man, Tua is going to be there at least another year, and you're going to have to ride the bench, or you could come here and maybe learn and start your own thing somewhere else. So I hope we can snag him. I hope that Coach O and Coach Insminger can recruit him over here, and it'd be phenomenal to see a Tua, or however you pronounce your last name on our side.
Tagovailoa, I believe, is
that
the
how you pronounce it?
pronunciation
Okay,
of that.
yeah.
But I actually had to sit and try to pronounce that several times before I could even do it, because he's got quite the last name. Now, on the topic of Hawaiian players, I do want to talk a little bit about Braden Fehoko. I don't know if you were around or if you played with Braden at all, but he brought a big kind of story this year was him and his family doing the haka and really getting everybody riled up, getting ready for the game. Have you ever seen anything like that, and do you want to learn it?
I've seen it in like rugby games. Not that I watch rugby, but I've seen different clips of it, and it always fires me up, whether I'm just sitting on the couch watching TV or whatever. But I don't think it's my place to learn it. I think that's kind of their culture and let them do their thing. But it looks really cool, and obviously gets them fired up. So I'm excited to see them do it every game in the future.
What do you think it would be like if maybe the whole team learned that, and then when they were going out on the field during warm-ups just started going haka crazy?
It'd be wild for sure. Man, I think you'd have the stands fired up to see that. But there's some guys on the team that might struggle trying to learn it, I think. But no, it'd be really cool, and who knows, maybe they'll do it one day. But it's kind of nice to see just the family do it, and I mean, it's their culture, it's their thing. So I'm fine with them doing it every game. I think when they come down the Victory Hill and do that, the whole stadium lights up. So it's certainly a cool thing.
It definitely was a cool thing to watch those guys do that. One thing I do want to talk about this year's LSU team is I've covered LSU for a few years. I do feel like this year's team has a certain kind of brotherhood and closeness about them that's different than other years. And I know that you can kind of say that every single year. You can say, oh, well, this team is really close, and this next year's team is also really close. But in your opinion, do you agree? Do you feel like this LSU team might be a little closer, and I don't know, maybe have each other's backs more, or do you just think they're a little different than as opposed to previous year's teams?
Yeah, I think this year is the first year that in a while that we've had, a team that didn't really have, and we have Devin White, Greedy Williams, but there wasn't like a big, highly recruited guy that came in and was like the front runner of the team, and just everyone was worried about them. This was a team that all they did was care about each other, and even Devin and Greedy, I mean, they did a phenomenal job of just keeping it about the team. And when you have a team like that who's kind of a no-name team and is just playing for each other, I think they're dangerous, and they showed that this year, obviously. And that's huge. Like I said, you didn't have Leonard Fournette, all that the whole world's focused on. It was kind of a year where people weren't as focused on the Tigers, and they can kind of work while no one's watching, and obviously it paid off. And it's been a great year to watch and a great team. I think this team can compete with anybody.
Do you think it's more motivating as a team to kind of be seen as the underdog and be seen as the one who people, like we said earlier, you may have a 6-6 season. Does that motivate you more as a player to be like, you know what, I'm going to go out there and prove all of these people wrong?
Absolutely. It motivates you as a team, no doubt, because you have a place like here, and you're like, wait, hold a minute, like we're LSU. Like, have y'all forgotten who we are? And just because we've lost some big time names, I mean, we're always back to replace those guys and whip some butt in the SEC. And that's what I think they took that mentality to heart. And the whole offseason, I know, just being in the weight room, the strength staff and coaching staff did a great job of really putting that mindset in. I'm like, hey, look, everyone's down to you. Like, it's time to go show the world who LSU is, and they've done a good job of showing it this year.
I definitely think so too. LSU's done a great job so far this season, really overcoming that adversity and showing, look, this is who we are. We're the LSU Tigers, and we're not going to back down. We can't, because we're LSU. Now, LSU hasn't had a chance to beat Bama in several years. This year, they didn't get the chance. They got shut out by Bama, which was really upsetting. What do you think it's going to take to beat Alabama for LSU in the future years? Like, what is it going to take from us?
It's going to take a perfect game from us, because obviously, Alabama, they've just got it. They've got a good system figured out, and Coach Saban does a great job of getting those guys prepared. And you know, you think they're not only they're phenomenal athletes, but they're really smart football players when you get out there and play against them. It's going to take us being, I mean, just perfect. I mean, that's what it takes any team to beat Alabama. They haven't lost very many games in the past 10 years or so, so it takes full focus and it takes everyone doing their job, and it's going to happen. And I think LSU fans are getting tired of this streak going on, but you just got to be patient and keep rooting for the Tigers. I mean, when I went to the game this past year, that environment was crazy, and that was huge to start the game. Obviously, it didn't end up the way we wanted it to, but man, you keep bringing that fire that the LSU fans brought, man, it's going to happen.
I really hope so. I mean, so I'm from Alabama originally, and I remember the years where Alabama lost so many games. Like, there's a lot of people who are Bama or Auburn because you have to be one or the other when you live in Alabama. You can't, you know, be both.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember when Auburn had beat Bama like 6 or 7 years in a row, and Bama didn't have a chance. Well, as soon as they got Nick Saban, it seems like ever since Nick Saban came to Alabama, he's just not going to stop. And I really don't know if he's ever going to stop coaching football. I mean, is he just the key to Alabama winning?
Oh, no. Yeah, he's key. I mean, he's won everywhere. So, yeah, obviously he is, and he's got a great system. Now it just seems like every year, and we talked about this, if you're a recruit, the way they've been winning, why wouldn't you want to go there? So they're going to get the top recruits every year, and it's a good system they got going. It's just going to take someone to man up and finally beat the dragon, or slay the dragon, you know, as they say. So it'll happen, but Saban's he's got that system perfected, and obviously it shows every year because they're playing in the playoff every year.
I was talking with someone once, and what we were saying, we were kind of laughing about it, but Nick Saban doesn't necessarily recruit players. He just picks them. He goes, I want this one, that one, and this one. Do you feel like that's true? And do you feel like Coach O has to do his recruiting a little bit differently because he's not right now a Nick Saban? I mean, what does Coach O have to do differently to maybe go after some of these recruits that Bama would also be going after?
Yeah, you're right about Saban. Number one, I think he could just walk him in his office and open up his ring box and show him. I mean, why wouldn't you want to go there? But yeah, Coach O is number one, I think Coach O is doing a great job of trying to lock in Louisiana, the state recruits. And you just got to worry. You just can say, hey, obviously, you know, you can't worry about what Bama's doing. Obviously, they're doing their thing, but you just got to talk about how you want to build something here and start your own thing and get guys who want to create their own legacy and not be, you know, another system guy of Alabama and really just do their own thing.
Now, LSU and Coach O actually have done a pretty decent job so far this season as far as the 2019 class of recruits goes. They've got several 5-stars. I've actually got a list. Several 5-star guys, also some 4-star guys. But what is it in the recruiting process that I guess really turns a player on to that school? Is it different for every single player, or is there something maybe when you were getting recruited? Now, I know you were recruited by Coach Miles, but what was it when you were recruited that really locked you into LSU and say, hey, this is the school that I want to be at?
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, like you said, it's different for every player. Different guys have different goals and aspirations and different things that turn them on. For me, it was really Steve Ensminger who kind of got me. I knew getting recruited by LSU that LSU was the program it was, and obviously they've won a bunch of games, but I just was sold on Ensminger as a coach, and he kind of fit what I was used to growing up and seemed like a guy who I'd really want to play for, and obviously the system fit me. It was a pro-style system we ran, and I was a pro-style tight end, so it just seemed to make the most sense. And like I said, any of those, I mean, you could go work on the system, the coaches you like, the program, how it is. Different things affect different guys, so it's always different, but you know, you just kind of got to find the right thing to say for them.
Do you feel like LSU has been effective so far in their recruiting process, and what do you think their biggest strength is as far as recruiting goes?
I think so. Obviously, I don't know what our ranking is right now, but are we
number 4 in the SEC and nationally.
I mean, 4 in national rank, that's pretty good. So, yeah, it's like I said, it's different for every guy. I don't know what you tell different players, but I think Coach O's system of trying to lock in the state first is great because there's a lot of phenomenal football players that come from Louisiana as a state. I think there's a stat that showed we may have Louisiana as the best players as far as in the league and all that. So who knows? If you lock in this state, it seems like you're going to win the games.
I think so too. Okay, guys, we've got to take a quick break. We are right here at Scoreboards. It's a great restaurant. They've got great drinks. They literally have a special every single day. They've got snow crabs some nights. They cook out all the time. And look, it's got all the TVs you could ever possibly want to watch all the games that you need to watch to keep up to date on your sports. Guys, look, come visit us here, 10655 10655 Coursey Boulevard at Scoreboards. And we will see you soon. Look, we've got to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Hi folks, Clarence Buggs here. Coach Roger Cador would take the time to tell you how to catch our brand new show, The Roger Cador Show, but as you can see, he's kind of busy right now out at Scoreboards, Baton Rouge's newest sports grill with food that is absolutely amazing. Catch the show 8 o'clock Tuesday nights, 6:30 p.m. on Wednesdays and on Pelican Television's YouTube channel as well. You want to come out and have a great time. It's awesome, isn't it, Coach?
Mm-hmm.
Told you.
Look, your dad gave me his baby to go pick up your brother from the airport.
Oh, honey, just take Mom's car. She just had navigation installed.
I totally got this. We were just there.
Hey, isn't that...
Yep. I programmed the airport in, just in case.
You don't need a new car to have new technology. Mike's Audio, conveniently located on Airline Highway near the corner of Bluebonnet.
Are you ready for this year's formal events? It's weddings, homecoming, Mardi Gras, prom, pageants. Debbie's Bridal is having an inventory blowout sale. Don't be left out. Prices range from 20% off to 80% off. Happening now. Debbie's Bridal, Burnside in Gonzales.
All right, guys, welcome back to Sports Update with Kate. I'm your host, Kate Adams. We've got former LSU tight end Colin Jeter here with us. Okay, we were just talking about a lot of different things as far as LSU goes. Now, LSU is going to the Fiesta Bowl, but a lot of people, before they announced all the bowl games, thought maybe LSU had a shot at going to the Peach Bowl and playing Michigan. Now, that obviously didn't happen, but do you think it should have happened?
I would much rather see LSU play Michigan. I just think it's more of a marquee matchup. Obviously, playing a Big Ten opponent who was ranked number 3 at one point, I think. So I just think they're a great program, and we're a great program, so it'd be great to see a game between those two. Obviously, we're excited to play UCF in the Fiesta Bowl, but I just personally would rather see us play Michigan.
Do you agree with the way they decide who plays in the bowl games and decide who's going to be in the college football playoffs? Are you a fan of the way they do it? I know we talked about, you said I think maybe a 32-team playoff.
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
that doesn't sound like a bad idea to me because you can have underdogs like UCF possibly get a big upset and still have a chance. And maybe that's their chance if UCF does want to have a national championship, a real one, to go about it. I mean, what do you think that, I guess, the playoff system should do? Just stay where it's at? Or do you think that there ever really will be a real change? Because they went to this system not too long ago. So
I think it'll take some time, but there will be a change. I just think whenever you leave everything to someone's opinion, there's going to be some sort of bias for each team. And 4 is just kind of, it's hard to cut it off there. I mean, 1 and 2 was already hard enough, but now when you have 4, you have so many teams that are going to be in that one-loss category that, how do you pick one over the other? So if you would up it to 8 or 16 or 32, whatever you want to do, I just think it gives more opportunity for a team that, maybe loses a late one in the season who really still deserves to be in that playoff, that they have an opportunity.
now, LSU probably did have the chance to be in a bigger bowl game, especially if they would have got the win against Florida earlier in the season, which I truly believe in my heart they really should have got that win. But look, we've got in the Orange Bowl, number 1, Alabama, number 4, Oklahoma. Who do you think is going to win that one?
I think Alabama's going to win it, but I do think Oklahoma's going to do a good job of lighting them up. I've watched Oklahoma a little bit this year, and they're just offensively explosive. And Kyler Murray, who in high school went undefeated and has, I think, only lost a couple games in college, is a phenomenal football player. I think he's actually going to win the Heisman this year. But I think it's going to be a big-time matchup, but I do think Alabama edges them out.
Now, in the Cotton Bowl, we've got Clemson and Notre Dame, 2 other top 4 teams. Okay, who you got on that one?
I'm taking Clemson. I am not a big fan of Notre Dame for many reasons. Number 1, they always seem to edge us off some crazy happening in a bowl game. But Notre Dame's always a team to me that always seems to never really play anybody, and because they're that independent thing, I'm just like, join a conference, but get into something that people will respect you more that way. But ever since they went to the national championship and got drummed by Alabama, I have never taken them too seriously. And when they prove me otherwise, great. But for now, I just don't think they're going to match up with Clemson.
All right, Rose Bowl, Ohio State versus Washington. Now, the big story right now surrounding Ohio State is Urban Meyer did just announce earlier this morning that he will be retiring after the Rose Bowl, and it is because he's got a brain cyst right now. But who do you have in this game, and then what are your thoughts on Urban Meyer's retirement?
I'm taking Ohio State. I'm not a big Pac-12 believer. I just don't think they have been as strong of a conference the past few years since kind of Oregon's downfall. But Coach Meyer, he's a phenomenal head coach. Obviously, he's won 3 national championships, I think, and he's gone undefeated at 3 different schools. But he's, like I said, he's a great coach, and obviously you never want to see someone go through something like a brain cyst. And I just obviously wish the best for him. He's kind of had, this past year has been somewhat of a murky water season, and your opinion on that, it's obviously it is what it is. But it doesn't take away from the fact that he's a great football coach, and obviously he's had a phenomenal career, and you wish the best for him health-wise, and the rest is not up to me.
Look, Coach Meyer has had an incredible career as a coach. Obviously, you don't wish upon anyone any type of, bad health. But we all do wish Coach Meyer the best. There was some other speculation of some things going on earlier in the season when he got suspended for a few games. But hopefully Ohio State does come out with a win in the Rose Bowl to really kind of, end his career in a really great way. And I think if you are able to get the win, that will be great for Ohio State. And he'll always be remembered as one of the most legendary coaches in college football. We all know that. Okay, I do want to, let's talk about the Sugar Bowl real quick, because that's in New Orleans. That's kind of local here. So we've got Texas and Georgia. I personally felt like at one point LSU did have a shot to go to the Sugar Bowl, but then I also heard some other speculation that, guess what, New Orleans wants to make money, because of course they do, and maybe if LSU goes to New Orleans, they may not make as much money because it's a local team instead of bringing in 2 out-of-state games. Now we've got Texas, of all teams, and then Georgia playing in the Sugar Bowl. Who you got for that one?
I'm taking Georgia all the way. I think Georgia's a team that is one of those that probably should be in the playoff, and I think it can compete with anybody. And Texas, number one, I'm not a huge fan of Tom Herman for multiple reasons, but I just don't think they're quite the program they were before they had their fall off, and I think they're on the rise. But Georgia's just such a good team, and I think that they're going to walk away with a couple touchdown victory.
All right, I want to change gears and go to NFL. Right now, the New Orleans Saints have been having an incredible season. They were on a 10-game winning streak until last week's game when they played against the Cowboys in Jerry World. And look, it was a big defensive game. The Saints lost 13-10, Cowboys won. All right, did you watch that game, and what did you think of it?
I did watch the game, and I'm a Texas kid, as I said earlier, so I kind of was rooting for the Cowboys, but at the same time, obviously, love to see the Saints win this year, because I've just turned into a Saints fan, moving down here to Baton Rouge and being in Louisiana. But it was a defensive game, I think, and people always get upset when a game's low scoring for whatever reason, because everyone thinks you should just score 50 a game today, like the Chiefs and Rams. But sometimes that 13-10 is just as fun of a game to watch as the other, because it's nice to see defenses do what they're supposed to do every now and then. And Dallas has a really good defense. New Orleans has a really good defense, obviously, and both teams made the offense struggle, and obviously the Cowboys were just able to edge them out.
All right, so in that game, I do want to go over a couple of stats. Dak Prescott was 24 of 28 for 248 yards, and he had 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Breeze was 18 of 28 for only 127 yards with 1 touchdown and another interception for the season. Now, he's only got 3 interceptions this whole entire season so far in 2018, but not really expecting that. You would have expected to be the opposite way around. What did you see from Dak kind of versus Drew, and what do you think Drew's biggest challenge going up against the Cowboys was?
Anytime you play the Cowboys, I think their pass rush is the real deal. And even that new rookie linebacker, Van Der Esch, or however you say his name, he seems to be the real deal with them. I think Drew, you're not always going to have the crazy games that he's had. And obviously this season he seems to do it every week and throw 4 touchdown passes a week, but it just didn't happen. And Dak, I think, as the season's gone on, has continued to improve, and each week seems like his stats seem to get a little better. And obviously, like to see Dak succeed, like to see Drew succeed. It just went the Cowboys' way this time.
Definitely went the Cowboys' way, and it was unfortunate for New Orleans not to get that win, but I do want to do a little comparison here. So a lot of people are comparing this 2018 Saints team to the 2009 team they won the Super Bowl in 2010. So one comparison, so in 2009, the longest winning streak was 13 for the Saints. Now in 2018, right now they've got a 10-game win streak. So with losses, in 2009, the Saints lost to Dallas, Tampa Bay, and Carolina. So far in the 2018 season, the Saints have only lost to Dallas and Tampa Bay. So right now, record at the 13th week. Back in 2009, it was 12-0, and now in 2018, it is 10-2. And obviously, in 2010, they were Super Bowl champions. So a lot of people are comparing that season to this 2018 season. And look, they've still got to play. They're playing Tampa Bay on the road this weekend. All right, do you think it might be a similar scenario for the Saints? And look, they've already lost it was their only loss before they lost to the Cowboys, was Tampa Bay earlier in the season. So now they're going on the road to play Tampa Bay. What do you think that the Saints need to do to get off that hurtful loss last week and to just get to the Super Bowl this year?
Yeah, I think that's a lot of Saints fans are comparing that Cowboys loss to the one before. But yeah, the Saints are going to be fine. I think this next week they're going to come out pissed off because they lost, and obviously the streak ended. But the Saints are still my favorite team to win the Super Bowl this year. I think just offensively and defensively, they've kind of got it going. The win versus the Rams was huge. And, they'll be fine. Drew Brees is going to have an MVP season, I think. And I think they're going to end up winning the whole thing this year.
Speaking of MVP, I think that he was definitely on track to be regular season NFL MVP before the Cowboys game. Now, another guy who's kind of, you could say, also being considered for that MVP spot is Patrick Mahomes. Have you watched Patrick this season, and do you think that he is going to do better than Drew Brees?
I've been watching Pat since he was in high school because he went to the high school right down the road from me. So he's always been who he is now. Obviously, he's continued to have success all the way up to the highest level. But Pat's a phenomenal football player, probably even better of a baseball player, but good to see him on the football field. He's had a great season. I think Andy Reid loves having him because Andy obviously likes to throw the ball, and Pat does a good job of doing it. And they've got weapons everywhere, it seems like. So if Pat, who knows? Those guys seem to be back and forth because Pat seemed like the first 3 or 4 games he had it locked up, and then Drew starts winning all these games, so he seems to have it locked up, and now it's kind of a toss-up. So who knows?
I mean, I know obviously everyone in New Orleans and probably in the state of Louisiana really wants Drew Brees. And if you didn't know, Drew Brees has never in his whole career got regular season MVP. And we all feel like, okay, this is the season. I mean, personally, I feel like he's having one of his best years ever as a quarterback. And he's already had so many phenomenal years. I mean, do you think he's going to get any better? Or do you think, I don't know, what does he need to do? Just.
Number one, I think that Drew obviously deserves to win the MVP at some point. It's hard to believe that he's had all the seasons he's had and he's never won it. And I think Pat obviously is going to have many more down the road, so he's got time to wait on his MVP. But, yeah, I'd like to see Drew win it, and I think he just continues to improve it. It seems like Brees and Tom Brady are the 2 guys that just seem to defy age and get better every year. I mean, for those guys to be – Brady's already 40, and Drew's almost there. Is Drew Brees 40 yet? 39.
Yep.
So they just seem to improve. And now I just feel like at this point they've seen every defense you could possibly throw at them, so they're just out there playing checkers while everyone else is playing chess. So they're just ahead of the game. And I guess I said that a little backwards, but yeah, they're just ahead of the game, and they just keep killing it. No other way to put it.
Look, whatever is in Tom Brady and Drew Brees' Gatorade, I want some of that if they're going to defy age the way they are. Seriously. Okay, I do want to stay in the NFL, but I want to talk about something a little bit more serious. Recently this week, Kareem Hunt had a very big violence case against him. It's really not yet decided on what's going to go on with him, but one thing, there's always some correlation with violence in maybe the NFL or just really sports in general for some guys. Do you think it's because of injuries? I mean, what are your thoughts? Why do you think it's something that continues to be a reoccurring factor, and not just Kareem Hunt, but several other players?
Yeah, obviously it seems lately like that keeps getting brought up more and more with different guys. One thing I think is when you're a professional athlete, everything you do gets magnified. So at that level, you kind of have to know that if you do something wrong, everyone's going to see it. Just like Joe Mixon or Ray Rice, guys like that. Obviously, football is a violent sport, so people can correlate that to whatever. At the end of the day, you just have to do the right thing. And everyone knows that's nowhere near to being the right thing, and you just have to hold yourself to a higher standard, especially if you're a professional athlete. There's no place for that. No place for that at all anywhere. So we just got to do a better job. I don't know how you really improve that in the NFL, but we just got to do a good job of finding character guys and just continue to do the right thing.
I agree. Just the right thing is, look, the truth will always set you free is what my parents used to always tell me. And then just always do the right thing. Try to be a morally good person. Okay, I don't want to end the show on such a sad note. Let's talk about something kind of exciting. 2 former LSU players that are in the NFL had a great game this past weekend. Odell's touchdown pass to Russell Shepard, 2 former players. How cool is that to have that happen in the NFL?
Oh, it's awesome. Number one, it's awesome to have. We always have, seems like the highest number of NFL players come from LSU. But to have a guy like Odell throwing to Russell and guys who both had phenomenal careers here at LSU, it's great to see. I know Odell apparently back when we used to play A&M and they had Johnny Manziel, they put Odell in at scout team quarterback, and everyone says he was better than Johnny. So Odell's a guy that, who knows, maybe they put him in at more quarterback packages. That'd be fun to watch, but you never know, man. It is cool to see, though.
Hey, as one of the highest paid receivers in the league, I think that they can use him however they want. And maybe Eli Manning might get a little jealous if they try to put Odell at quarterback in there too much, but who knows. Look, Saints at Tampa Bay this weekend. Let's hope that they get the win. Look, Colin, thank you so much for joining me. I really loved getting your point of view and listening to all your former stories. We are here at Scoreboards. The location is 10655 Coursey Boulevard. You've got to come out here and see us. They literally have a TV in every corner, and Colin can vouch for me for that. We've been kind of getting a little distracted here with all these TVs everywhere, but this is the place definitely to come and watch the Tigers play, watch the Saints play, or whatever your team may be. They've got the game on. They've got great tailgate food here. Literally fettuccine Alfredo. That might not be tailgate food, but it's good. You've got to come here and try it here at Scoreboards. Thank you to Caleb St. Germain, my producer, Colin Jeter, for coming in, and Alan Traylor and all the people here at Pelican.